all parts for the forks arrived, and today we want to assemble the forks. In the last video we didn't disassemble this damper rod completely because I didn't know if we will get these springs new, but I got them new and we will exchange them. Here we get to the bigger springs, and I'm gonna clean all this thoroughly. And then we go ahead with the other side. Look at that. That was all inside the fork. Why should you change the fork oil sometimes? That's why. That's disgusting and you don't want to have it. This changes how the fork works and that's really bad. Everything is clean and we mount a new spring and this kind of valve and put this one on. Now the ball and this small spring is a bit tricky. We will try with putting the ball in. The spring follows. And now the spring should fit inside this. I think we got it. With everything on, we will mount this one and the wires and tighten the other nut. And then both nuts or screws are tightened down. Now here we use the 13mm socket and tighten it down to 25. Yes. Next step is to replace these piston rings, and to do so, just gonna use my hands, get them off and put on the new ones. Not one by one this time. This whole damper rod is done, and what I want to address next is this chrome on this pipe. This pipe is clamped down and the triple clamp up here, and this part moves inside the other pipe up and down, and a quite big part of it is just free. And what happens is that stones and stuff hit this pipe, destroy the chrome, and then you get these small pickles like this one. Now we want to use some sandpaper and make these smooth. The problem with these small imperfections in the chrome is they have sharp edges, and these sharp edges will destroy the seal right when they go through one time. So that's why we want to smooth it out with the sandpaper, and then we'll be fine. So what I'm going to use is 800 grit sandpaper. I cut it with a scissor and we'll just go over it like this. Keep on doing this until it looks good, and now I'm going to check for some marks, and I see some here. So what I'm going to do now is use the sandpaper in this direction and grind these out. And I want to get rid of these sharp edges, that's what I'm going to do. All these small spots are smooth. I go over it again with the sandpaper on the whole pipe, and then it's done. Everything is prepared and cleaned, and we can actually put this fork back together. We'll start with the damper rod, and this rubber thing goes on first, followed by these three. I'm going to clean them a little better. The next step is to mount the damper rod. And what we want to make sure is that these piston ring gaps are not in the same position. So turn them like this, so they don't point to the same position, same direction, and then we can try to wiggle it in. But first we're gonna mount some grease on them. You could use fork oil or grease, doesn't matter. And now we're gonna wiggle them in. I don't have this special beamer tool, but I do have this screwdriver. Now I can push it in and try to compress the piston rings. And then maybe there you go in. It's not the prettiest way, but it works. Good. It's finally in. Some good fiddling, but anyway, now it's in. Now we want to push this rod all the way through and screw these caps in. And to do that, we're gonna use this Sägeringzange, I don't know. Okay, my method is probably not the best because two piston rings came off. That's not what I planned. They're all back in position, let's try again. Well, now they're all in. And now we can push this one all the way in. Get the rubber in. Just screw it all the way into the bottom, not too tight. And the aluminum ring follows. And this one follows. On top of this sandwich we put this circlet. So make sure it's all the way in the groove. And the damper rod assembly is done. That's the bottom cap of the fork, and in this one we mount this rubber part. Just push this one in all the way. Next is to prepare this outer tube, and the seal is out already. We're gonna mount a new seal now. This new seal is just being pushed in, and make sure that the spring side points downwards. That's pretty important on these kind of things. And maybe we can just push it in by hand. No, not really. What I'm gonna do is use the old seal to not destroy the new one. Just like that. And we'll hammer this rubber thing in. It's straight and bottomed out, that's what we want. Now what I like to do is to prepare it with some grease. What we're gonna do now is nearly the last step. We will put these two tubes together. As next, this aluminum washer goes on. And we're gonna mount the bottom end cap. Here we got this spring-loaded washer, and we're gonna reuse the old nut. That's pretty much it. I don't have the big socket, so I can't use the torque wrench. but it's about 100 Newton meters and I get that in my mechanic hands. Both of the forks get 250 milliliters of 10W fork oil. Uiuiui. When all the oil is in, we want to stroke it a few times so the oil gets everywhere. Yep, looks oily down there. Now this thing follows. Schwuppdiwupp. Now with this spring, and top cap, this service is done. This was fun to do. Actually, I really like how easy it is to disassemble and assemble these old kind of forks or these old machines in general. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to follow this and many other projects, and see you in the next video.